y'all? 11 pages in a day, 11 paces in a day, on the way of absolutes, utilizing the days of the strong. We're reading in the book of Thomas. This part says, when virtue is vice. Yeshua said to them, if you fast, you will give rise to sin for yourselves. And if you pray, you will be condemned. And if you give alms, you will do harm to your spirits. This should be interesting. There is a Zen story of a man who gave an answer to a Roshi's question, and he was told he had answered correctly. The next day, the Roshi asked the same question, and the man gave the same answer. The Roshi said his answer was wrong. When the man protested that the day before his answer was said to be correct, the Roshi replied that the day before it had been right, but today it was wrong. The idea was that as we move forward in consciousness, yes can become no, no can become yes, and both can become neither. Damn, that's real. In the Father's house are many mansions. It's a reference to John 14:2. In the field of relative existence, there are many strata, many realities. As a consequence, what is wise in one stratum can be folly in another. This is expressed in this verse of the Gospel of Thomas. Obviously, fasting, prayer, and almsgiving are viable forms of self-purification, but Yeshua is leading the disciples to a higher realm, a higher understanding, in which those things are no longer relevant. Fasting. Fasting is purely physical. Being in a material body, we are deeply influenced by its conditions and changes. The mind and body are so interwoven that they are often indistinguishable. Therefore, our eating patterns affect us greatly. Fasting is recommended as a means of lessening our body identity. This is certainly beneficial, but once a person develops skill in yoga, his center of awareness is shifted into higher mental levels, and physical practice no longer has the efficiency or the efficacy it once had. In time, it becomes irrelevant. A point is reached in which fasting is as silly as having a horse pull an automobile rather than turning on the engine. Therefore, to continue fasting as a spiritual discipline is to act incongruously with our present status, and can, through habit, cause us to revert to our former status in which fasting was relevant. So what was once an aid can become a detriment. Damn. Prayer. It is the same with prayer. It presupposes the absurdity that we need to inform the Creator of our inner thoughts, feelings, and needs, that otherwise He will either not know of them or will not care about them. Furthermore, prayer assumes a dependency on another and denies our own innate power as spiritual beings. Yeshua frequently told people that it was their faith, their conviction that healed them. Yet we steadfastly refuse to believe this fundamental truth. According to your faith, be it unto you. In Greek, the language of the four Gospels and the parts of the Gospel of Thomas, two words are used in which in English are translated as prayer. One is desis, which means asking for something. This is what Yeshua condemns in this instance. The second word is prospheki, which means to draw near. This is a completely different matter, as it is a spiritual movement toward infinity. Even verbal formulas can affect this drawing near to higher consciousness. This form of prayer is not being censored by Yeshua. In the much worse aspect of prayer, or desis, it is presupposition that we are separate from the Creator. So when we pray, we affirm this illusion and strengthen ourselves in it. Damn. The Chandogya Upanishad tells us, where one sees nothing but the one, hears nothing but the one, knows nothing but the one, there is the infinite. Where one sees another, hears another, knows another, there is the finite. The infinite is immortal. The finite is mortal. And that's from the Upanishad 24:1. To affirm a non-existent separation from the Creator is to doom ourselves to mortality, to death in life. Almsgiving. The situation is very much the same with almsgiving. If we see those we give assistance to as separate from ourselves. When we help others, we are really helping ourselves. For in the Creator, we are at one with all that lives. Not only that, those with open spiritual eyes see that whatever they do to others, they do to the Creator, the indweller of hearts. Through others, we either give or take from the Creator. This is an awesome truth. If the Creator is the object of our almsgiving, then it is an act of supreme virtue that leads to the Supreme. What to do? Should we then immediately stop these 3 observances? Not necessarily. What is needed for us is for us to diligently apply ourselves to meditation and rectitude of life, so we can ascend to that level of evolution in which the words of Yeshua apply to us, just as they did to the apostles. This next part is called Father in Heaven, Father on Earth. Let's get real good, y'all. We're in the book of Thomas. Let's keep it going. Yeshua said, when you see one who was not born of woman, prostrate yourselves on your faces and worship him. That one is your Father. Everyone who has read the Gospels is familiar with the injunction, call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Reference to Matthew 23:9. I grew up with this very verse being used as a stone to throw at Catholics for calling a priest father, while the stone throwers proceeded to write in their biological father's name on all kinds of forms and applications. Bigotry is its own justification. However, that might be, when we turn to the East and even the yoga world, this mandate goes out the window in a welter of adulation and titles. One time at a spiritual conference in northern India, I heard a shameless and literally criminal guru, even more shamelessly being introduced with a string of inflated titles that went on for a long time before his name was even reached. A friend of mine came across several lines of adultery appellations in reference to a contemporary super guru who claimed to be the only legitimate guru presently on the earth. Why don't they just call him the Creator? He demanded in disgust. It would be easier to spell and shorter to say. Of course, a lot of avatars are presently racing around India and the world. What to do about it? Nothing. Let them and their followers have their fun, and let us consider what the real masters have taught, such as this verse is from the Gospel of Thomas. Since only the Creator is our Father and Mother, only the Creator, or someone who was totally one with the Creator and knows that the Creator is Himself, can be called or considered Father in the spiritual sense. Yeshua has obviously no problem with calling the Creator Father, but this verse is obviously referring to human beings, or at least those in human form. He is quite simple in his exposition. One who was not born of woman is Father. Woman has 2 levels of meaning in this. 1, humanity, and 2, the cosmos, relatively itself. So a father can have no identity with either limited humanity or the human body. That is, he knows himself as neither the body nor even human. Further, he does not in any way consider himself to be an entity separate from the Creator, however exalted that status might be. He sees and knows only the absolute. Even his individual self, he knows only in its eternal relation to the Creator. Creation, or Prakriti, has ceased to exist from him, and only the consciousness of spirit, or Purusha, prevails. Nothing about him has been born from anything but the infinite. When we do not meet such a one, they are worthy. When we do meet such a one, they are worthy of reverence and even worship to some extent. It should be pointed out here that such a father may be in a female form. Holy shit. The big question is who? Who is such a divinized being? Naturally, everyone is going to insist their guru or other kinds of religious potentate is such a one, and there is no reasoning with them. I could give my list, but what value is that? The problem lies in the subjectivity that has to come into such opinions. The best thing is not to care, but to keep on making sure we ourselves become such a one in the future. Alright, y'all, this one is called Divine Discord. I know you got a lot from what I just read, because I got a lot from it myself. Let's keep it going. 11 pages in a day. Yeshua said, men think perhaps that it is peace which I have come to cast upon the world. They do not know that it is dissension which I have come to cast upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. For there will be 5 in a house, 3 will be against 2, and 2 against 3, the father against the son, and the son against the father, and they will stand solitary. Men think perhaps that it is peace which I have come to cast upon the world. Yogananda remarked that human beings are skillful in their ignorance, especially in maintaining and justifying it. In religion, this is supremely true. As I have pointed out elsewhere, the model of all religions based on an avatar or prophet seems to be ignore the message and adore the messenger. One of the most amazing examples of this is the way Buddhists managed to ignore the fact that Buddha said his Dharma would have vanished from the earth within 5 centuries after him. Another is the Prince of Peace slogan that we hear every Christmas, even though Yeshua himself said, I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I, if it be already kindled? Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on the earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. What about these predictions he made regarding his disciples? Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. The time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth the Creator a service. If this is the Creator's peace plan, what is his war plan? They do not know that it is dissension which I have come to cast upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. Yeshua, who said, the words that I speak